Once upon a time, in the far west of the land of Oz lived a mysterious fiery old witch named the Wicked Witch of the West. With her massive army and her pyrokinesis abilities, she was extremely powerful. But like all powerful people, she had a flaw that led to her demise. It also made her unable to participate in the Ice Bucket Challenge, a loss for both the witch and the ALS research community. Let's get right into what happened to the Witch of the West when Dorothy threw a pail of water on her. To be as blunt as possible, her flaw is the fact that she has rubidium particles infused into her epidermis and throughout her body. Well, as the history of the Strange Witch is not known, it is safe to assume that since she is a fire witch, she probably originated from a fiery, hot place, like a volcanic site. Furthermore, of all the 51 metallic elements, out of 19, rubidium has been prevalently discovered in volcanic products and is one of the 3 most reactive elements. Classified as alkali metal 37, it is commonly found as a silvery white solid at room temperature with a melting point of 39.5 degrees Celsius. Being an alkali, it is highly reactive. It reacts readily with air, initially producing smoke. Upon contact with water, a violent reaction occurs, powerful enough to kill a witch. Initially, she was a contained witch, locked away in an air-free chamber to prevent any accidents, breathing through a gas mask, until finally she couldn't handle it and she just had to do something to get out of that situation. Having the ability to see everything, she watched 2 scientists placing highly reactive metals in bottles of mineral oil so that they wouldn't react with anything. This gave her an idea. Later that night, the sneaky witch sent her creepy monkeys into the lab to steal the mineral oil. It was a bottle of liquid hydrocarbons, paraffinic and naphthenic, obtained naturally from petroleum, an immiscible fluid that would prevent her from contacting the painful air and devastatingly fatal water. Immediately, she lathered on a thick layer, lubricating her skin. Luckily for her, mineral oil has a flash point of about 170 degrees Celsius, which means that it is not flammable, which is a flash point less than 100 degrees Celsius. It protected her from the air, but she was still insecure because the bottle told her that reactive metals should be stored in the oil in a bottle, and the bottle was far too small for her. She would reapply the oil as soon as she felt uncomfortable in her own skin. This is due to the fact that 50% of oil evaporates within a couple of days, releasing the opportunity for the oxygen to react with her rubidium. Furthermore, water became her enemy. She was afraid water would disperse the oil, so she became extremely hydrophobic. She refrained from drinking water, cooking with water, playing in the rain, jumping in puddles, doing the ice bucket challenge, and finally, no showering or baths. Originally, her skin contained 10 trillion good bacteria of 1,000 species and 80 types of fungi, like all humans have. Gross. But eventually, without personal hygiene, bacteria of all kinds began to accumulate. The most prevalent were the photosynthetic bacteria, who saw the awesome shindig as a perfect breeding ground, as it had all the food they would need for several years, the deliciously rich mineral oil. This specific bacteria prevalent is one that is aerobic and oxygenic photosynthetic and contains bacterial chlorophyll. This bacteria thrives in the air without the need of water as an electron donor, so they don't produce oxygen, and furthermore, they contain chlorophyll, which is why her skin appears green. Slowly, with time, the bacteria use their enzyme systems to biodegrade the mineral lubricant on the witch and thrive. As the microorganisms grow, her skin gets blocked from the air, giving her the misguided impression that the air is not affecting her anymore, so that she does not need to reapply the mineral oil as often as she does. As a witch's green skin becomes a trend, her minion soldiers paint their faces green to praise and blend in with their master. Then comes the fateful day. A sweet little girl named Dorothy and her friends were captured by the Green Witch. In trying to save her friend from burning, Dorothy grabbed a pail of water and splashed it on her friend. The majority of the water fell on the Wicked Witch instead. Instantly, smoke began to appear, and the witch realized her worst fear, that the water had dispersed her shield. Then the witch cried, "I'm melting," and she disappeared in a burst of smoke. Why did this happen? As the water hit the witch, the bacteria were displaced. The water molecules dispersed the remaining oil on her face and then touched the rubidium. Immediately, smoke was produced as the reaction built up and released heat. In an instant, the water reacted with the rubidium, causing a chain reaction of reactions within her. Majority of the reaction was inside her body, exploding all her deadened cells in a violent apoptosis, appearing to her as melting. The water reacted vigorously with the rubidium, producing rubidium hydroxide and hydrogen gas, as seen by the smoke coming off her face. In the reaction, the rubidium was being oxidized, therefore being the reducing agent, so it loses 1 electron. The hydrogen in water was being reduced, therefore water being the oxidizing agent, so the hydrogen gains an electron. Remember, this is an exothermic redox reaction, which produces a lot of heat. And so that is how the story of the Great Green Wicked Witch of the West ends. She was consumed by the exothermic redox reaction of water and her rubidium-infused body.